Welcome to episode 6 of the New England Holstein Association Podcast. I'm Betsy Bullard of Regine Farms in Turner, Maine. I farm with my family with 600 registered Holsteins there, and also have the great pleasure of serving as Area 1 Director for Holstein USA. The New England Holstein Association is a member organization and has put tremendous work, and even shows up in our mission statement that we're dedicated to encouraging the breeding and raising of registered Holsteins. This podcast intends to provide resources towards those ends and also increase member connectedness. This episode is sponsored by the New England Holstein Association, and the association's been around since 1921, and we're very fortunate to still be here today in 2024. Our guest for today continues a bit of our underlying theme of youth and strong youth programs and what happens after youth programs. We've had several guests talk about those kinds of things. Our guest today is Jacob Schaefer. Jacob, fascinatingly enough, was a 2023 Distinguished Junior Member finalist for Holstein USA, and Jacob is also our newly minted regional representative for the New England states. Thanks for joining us today, and we're really looking forward to hearing more about what brought you to this role, what you kind of envision in the role, and anything you'd like to tell folks as you get immersed into your role and get an opportunity to get out in the countryside a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you, Betsy, for having me. This is a very interesting opportunity for me. I mean, I grew up in Minnesota in a small 46 cow tie stall barn, and to come all the way here to be working for Holstein USA now as a college graduate, it's been truly a pleasure, and all the people I've met along the way have been really good to me so far, and so I hope to keep providing great service for Holstein in the New England area for a very long time. So it's exciting for sure.
Jacob, if I understand, your job kind of entails a couple of different things. You have field sales responsibilities. You also have some customer service responsibilities as well. Am I stating that accurately, or maybe if you, it's a pretty cool combination of things. So maybe if you share a little bit more about that as we work towards what works best.
I actually had quite the great opportunity coming in here to work for Holstein and engulf all different things that I like to do for work, as well as just involving with the Holstein breeders and people. Like you said, I have the New England territory. That's been a really fun part of my job so far. I also am doing a little bit of convention planning, so I'm in some of the meetings on that side of things to further progress our convention planning, as Holstein USA has started to take over the convention planning themselves. So that's been a really great opportunity. And I wasn't as involved in the convention this year, obviously, as I just started in June. However, it was quite a bit of fun to be on the admin side of things. I had been involved on the Holstein conventions before. In 2022, having it in South Dakota, it was a lot of fun to kind of get in as a junior and try to help plan the convention when I was a little bit green, because I had never been to a national convention before. But getting in and trying to understand the business side of it, as well as just all the happenings of national convention, was a lot of fun there. And that kind of sparked my interest for it. And then last year, being a DJM finalist, obviously Kelly Dunkley has us pretty good at helping with all of the junior competitions and stuff as DJM semifinalists. And so it was a lot of fun to do it that way too. And that's when I knew that was something that I maybe wanted to pursue a little bit more, is convention planning with Holstein. And I think it's been quite the opportunity to continue to do that in the future. So I'm really excited for this coming year in St. Louis, Missouri. And I think we're going to put together quite the convention. Now that we got one under our belts as Holstein, I think come together maybe a little bit more smooth this year. And you'll start to see quite a bit of consistency from us as we go into the next few years. Additionally, I am working also for Agritech Analytics, a Holstein company that does record processing, similar to other records processing centers across the US. There's 4 of them. ATA is headquartered out in Visalia, California, And so I have the opportunity to travel quite a bit between New England and California, which is going to be an interesting start for me, I'm sure. But as I get more training under my belt and kind of a more consistent schedule, I'm excited to see what opportunities that brings as well. Agritech Analytics does records processing for all of the DHIA affiliates for wherever you live. You can have your records processed through ATA. And actually, Holstein Complete members have a discount that they can use on ATA to get their records processed a little bit cheaper. So that's something that Holstein has touted for years. And we want to get that message out there a little bit more, just so that Holstein members know that there's possibly a cheaper option out there for them for record processing. It's been a pretty good opportunity so far to be able to market that on that side of things as well. A few years ago, I got the opportunity to meet Tony Allen, the general manager out there for ATA, and he's been a good friend of mine actually for the last few years, which is weird to say, but so now to have him as a boss and get to learn from him and train with him is a great opportunity. So, yep, those three things are my big responsibilities, and they're kind of ever evolving. Kind of have a lot to do, so it's been a fun experience.
So there's very little chance of boredom, it sounds like, in this whole process, which is great. I think that sounds exciting to keep somebody with your talents engaged and interested in some pieces of the puzzle that certainly the ATA responsibilities I think will be very interesting for our New England members, and especially when we talk about that benefit to complete members and having that synergy with records processing and that core of our business at Holstein with great records and accurate records and accessible records. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it sure is a great opportunity for producers to kind of have options. And a lot of times it seems like producers may not understand that they have options on the records processing side of things. People are processing their records based on the geographical area that they live in, which may not actually be the most financially sound for them to do. And so we aim to provide the best service we can to our members. And Holstein believed in the early 2000s when they purchased Agritech Analytics that providing an all-encompassing service is what they wanted to do, and that included acquiring a dairy records processing center.
Like you said, I think there's definitely some opportunities to share that awareness as you chat with members about what their options and opportunities. Jacob, we talked a little bit about a homework assignment for this podcast. And now that you've shared with us a little bit about your background and what your current job role looks like, and I know folks will be interested to see you and certainly interact with you over the coming months. Your homework assignment was around an iconic cow. What did you come up with on that? And I'll full disclosure, I felt like you were perhaps new enough to the New England area that a lot of times this is a two-layered question that I'll ask folks. An iconic cow in their experiences, and then to add on top of that an iconic New England cow. And I think we'd be happy to put the iconic New England cow on the continuing homework assignment list. And as you get a little bit more immersed in the region, you can follow up on that one. But if you have one today, that's great. But certainly an iconic cow from your experiences would be really cool to hear about.
I actually want to start with the New England cow because I think it was really cool that I got an opportunity to my own eyes on this cow very recently within the last few days. As I'm doing herd visits through Connecticut and Massachusetts this week, I got the opportunity to visit Woodmansee Farms. Hazel's Golden Patty was really just like one of those moments where you just take a step back and you're like, wow, these cows just still exist out there. You know, they can be just very sound production cows that showed well in the ring, but also are still around to tell their own story. And when you lay eyes on a cow like that, it's just one of those cool moments that you can just take a step back and kind of admire from a distance. I had the opportunity to visit New England a long time ago to see all the beautiful cows out here, you know, everywhere from Connecticut up and Massachusetts up through Vermont and New Hampshire and Maine. it was really a great experience. And then obviously you have your Canadian friends just across the border that have quite the herds of cows themselves. And so I got to take a trip 5, 6 years ago now that it just really was eye opening for me back then to see all these beautiful cows. At the end of the day, they come home from a show and they go back into the herd. And so that was eye opening for me. And so to get to see another one transitioning into my new job here, that was one of the most rewarding things I've experienced so far. Is, like I said, to just see a cow that's still doing it at her age, like Hattie is. So that was cool for sure. I do want to say, me personally, and this is very much a personal choice, I own a cow by the name of Kings Lane Abs Always Red, and she is a wonderful cow with just the most interesting personality. A lot of people back home in Minnesota will will know when I say how big of a personality this cow is. Me and her have kind of grown up together. She's now 8 years old, and so it's just one of those things where it was a cow that I grew up with. She's now 93 points, has a pretty cool summer yearling daughter that we've been working with this summer. When you get that chance to work with an animal from the time that they're a baby calf all the way to when they're a mature cow with plenty of daughters around, that's when it becomes a really cool and fun experience in the industry. And probably wouldn't be here if not for that cow. She's taught me a lot about the industry. Like I said, we've grown up together. That cow has always been very important to me. And back in 2022, I mean, she got the opportunity to be a junior All-American age cow for the Red and Whites. And that kind of just ignited my passion even more than what it already was. I've been really fortunate to be able to work with that cow, and she's just been a true gem for me.
I think based on both of those cows, both bonus points, and congratulations on your successes with Always. When we think about that mission statement around encouraging the breeding and raising of registered Holsteins, Jacob, both your interests and your enthusiasm around that sound like a fabulous fit for New England and for Holstein USA. So we're really excited to have you in the area. It's a busy summer. Summer's always busy. So when we think about some of our recent and current events, we've had a number of different shows this summer. We had our very successful New England Summer Show at the Caledonia Fairgrounds. We were all very fortunate that we didn't actually wash away since the pretty torrential downpours surrounded the show, and we're fortunate to have such a good group that organized the show and kept us going despite extraordinary circumstances around us. I think we just had a Massachusetts Holstein and Jersey show when we're recording this today. That just happened just recently. In August, we have our Pine Tree Holstein show, and that's at the Windsor Fairgrounds in Windsor, Maine. We also just had a national convention that, as you said, you were involved in some of the convention workings and getting more involved in next year's St. Louis planning, and our New Englanders had a pretty outstanding convention. We did have another distinguished junior member finalist, Keenan Tygeson of Tunbridge, Vermont. So we're very proud about that. And our Dairy Bowl teams were successful as well. Our juniors were fourth and our seniors were third. And sportsmanship winners and our Dairy Jeopardy folks competed very, very well as well. We had folks in the top five in each of those divisions. So I think folks are already getting excited about next year in St. Louis and kind of making some plans. So the next step in their process is our New England Holstein Convention, and that is coming up in October. So it seems like a long way away, but it's not. We're into August now, and I'm sure folks are planning for that. So just a couple snippets on that. Like I said, we'll be in Auburn, Maine. October 19th is a Saturday, and we'll kind of kick things off with an opportunity for members and guests to tour at Breguin Farms and kind of take a wander around and see what's up there. We will have a food truck, and it's called Vintage Dogs. So it's all sorts of creative hot dogs, which you can certainly get your fix of really super healthy and delicious foods there. Rumor has it there may be some Canty Cow Creamery frozen custard as well to go along with that. We'll continue the afternoon with some of our junior contests as they get geared up, like I said, for St. Louis next summer. We will also be having panel discussion on around sustainability efforts in dairy and what some of the interesting activities both here in Maine and kind of in the larger dairy sphere are looking like these days. And as with any panel discussion, looking for a great discussion, and it's always interesting to get people chatting amongst one another. So we're looking forward to that. For an evening activity, this is not for the faint of heart, for sure. There is Nightmare on the Ridge. It's kind of a pretty intense haunt, we're around the Halloween time frame of the year, so it's kind of a haunted, scary, hope you're not jumpy, bring your best friend that you can kind of grab onto sort of activity for the whole family for that evening. And we'll have our business meetings on Sunday and talk about the business of the New England Association and kind of the progress of things in Brattleboro and the larger Holstein Association. And it's a great opportunity for camaraderie and to chat with other members and about things that are going on in the world. We'll also recognize some awards like our Distinguished Service Awards, our Caretaker Award. Those are things that we can see a little more detail on the New England Holstein website, and that's nesholsteins.com. Always find us there. Would just like to remind folks that we'll also have recognition of our Lee Salonen Memorial Junior Holstein Ambassador Award. And folks still have time to get those nominations in. All the supporting information is on the website. Like I said, we love to take a minute and recognize the great things going on in our membership and our breeders and the folks that are supporting those breeders and our young people that will undoubtedly be in those ranks.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
I have to admit that I am incredibly biased, but yes, I believe the plan is for it to be lots of fun and think, our members always enjoy getting together. And like I said, talking cows, a lot of the conversations end up being talking cows, which is kind of what we all have as our shared interests, and certainly supporting our juniors. And I might have mentioned having a little bit of fun as well. So that's definitely on the plan. Jacob, would you like to tell us a little bit more? You mentioned having the opportunity to see Hattie this week in your Connecticut travels. Where else are your travels taking you right now, and what do you anticipate for kind of a schedule as you settle into your ATA and your field responsibilities?
Right now, I'm actually sitting in Springfield, Massachusetts. So getting the opportunity to kind of take in some things here. I actually just got back from the Basketball Hall of Fame, so that was pretty cool as a big basketball fan myself. Next week, I will be making my way a little bit through New Hampshire to some herds there, as well as through northern Vermont. I had done some days in Vermont when I first started back in June, and so I wanted the opportunity to finish out some of the herds there on the northern side of Vermont. And so that's my plan for next week. Going forward, I hope to visit New England every 1 to 2 months. Obviously, a lot of cows, a lot of farms still here in New England, so not going to get to every place within that 1 to 2 months every time. But I'm hoping that I can get on a 4 to 6 month schedule for visiting farms. Farms that need extra help are always welcome to reach out, or farms that want to look at different programs like the Holstein Marketplace Sires, something like that more regularly, are more than welcome to reach out to me at any time, and we can discuss when the next time I'll be in the area is. Always open to ideas about maybe what the best areas are to travel, or even places for me to sightsee, maybe on Sundays when I'm not out there on farms necessarily. But so far I've really enjoyed getting to know the New England area. And like I said, after that trip back a few years ago now, that ignited a little bit of just, wow, like this New England area is kind of cool, from a Midwest boy point of view. I had kind of grown up thinking the Midwest was kind of it. So it's been fun to get to see new areas and everything. But yeah, I'm just hoping to get to as many events as I can, and obviously staying pretty busy for myself. So I apologize if there's an event that you think I might need to get to that I just can't make work in my schedule, but I will do my best to be there for all the big ones. I am planning on attending the Big E here in September. So if you want to meet me, see me there, you feel free to walk right up to me and shake my hand and introduce yourself. I'd be happy to meet more of the members that maybe I haven't got the chance to see yet. If you ever feel like you need more service from Holstein, or if, like I said, if you ever have any questions, just reach out to me, and I'll be sure to try to either make a stop or give you a call, and we can talk through what our best options are. So that's kind of my plan.
That sounds excellent. Jacob, the best way to access your contact information would be simply through the Holstein USA website and go to field representatives. Is that the most straightforward way, and get right to your information?
Yeah, that's one of the best ways. The other good way, since my face kind of got plastered on the Facebook, that's also a good place to find some of my contact information. My email and phone number listed on there. So if you ever need to
Excellent.
contact me, those are good ways as well.
Excellent. And those dates for Big E, the show days, are September 12th and September 13th. Heifer's show on September 12th and Cow's show on September 13th. So we'll definitely look forward to seeing you there. I appreciate you joining me on the podcast today. Again, this episode was sponsored by the New England Holstein Association. Upcoming editions will certainly include advertising opportunities for both our members and our supporting businesses. If any of our listeners have an iconic cow that they don't feel like we've touched on thus far in the process, send that along to us, and find all of your pertinent New England Holstein information at nesholsteins.com. We'll look forward to hearing us again for episode 7 coming up soon. Thanks.